Exit an investment. First thing is I have limited capital, and everybody in the world, whether it is Tata, whether it is Birla, whether it is GE Capital, everybody has limited capital. So when I find that my asset, any other asset gives me rate of return which is better than what I anticipate on this one, I will exit an asset. I will exit some investment, right? Then review of critical factors. Suppose I feel the Titan business model is affected, the growth will not come, or some other company is able to dominate, or the margins are permanently impaired, I may sell. EPS or EPS expectation peaks, this is very important. You know, in Infosys, in 2000, McKinsey and NASSCOM did a study that software industry in India is going to grow 100% every 2 years. So for 2 years, 3 years, Infosys profits grew 100%. Everybody assume for next 10 years it will grow 100%. So EPS should not peak, may not peak, but if expectation of EPS peaks, that could be a exit point, right? And absurd P's, because expectation of P is of absurd expectation, right? I think that's the time to sell. And remember one thing, it's not driven by profit and loss, it has to be an independent decision.
I'm saying India. So that's the point.
गोल्ड भी ऊपर जाएगा, कमोडिटी भी ऊपर जाएगा, शेयर बाजार भी ऊपर जाएगा, कभी ऐसा होता नहीं है। और वो इसलिए हो रहा है कि दुनिया भर में इंटरेस्ट रेट्स नेगेटिव हो रहे हैं, 17-18 ट्रिलियन डॉलर नेगेटिव हो गया ब्याज दर। तो ये पैसा जाए कहाँ? कहीं और बैंक में रख देने से तो घट जा रहा है पैसा। तो आदमी कुछ भी खरीद लेता है, बोलते हैं बैंक में मत रखो पैसे, अगर आप जर्मनी में हो या जापान में हो। तो ओवरऑल कमोडिटी बूम नहीं है, ओवरऑल स्टॉक मार्केट बूम नहीं है, ओवरऑल करेंसी डीबेसमेंट चल रहा है, तो उसका कारण है। सेकेंडली, जो कल शाम को जीडीपी जैसे 5% तो एज्यूम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता जीडीपी 5 है कि 4 है कि 3.5 है कि 5.5 है। मैं तो वो जीडीपी को जीडीपी मानूंगा जिस दिन हमारी गाड़ियां बिकेगी, हमारे 2 व्हीलर बिकेंगे। आप अगर लास्ट 5 साल में देखिए तो इंडिया में ग्रोथ जो है वो हाउस होल्ड वर्क सब्सटीट्यूशन का हुआ है। स्विगी, जोमैटो, उबर, ओला, ट्यूशन सेंटर्स, मतलब बेसिक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ग्रोथ जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं वो हुआ ही नहीं है। आज से 15 साल पहले आता था आरपीजी टू सेट अप अ 40,000 करोड़ पावर प्लांट एट XYZ, अब वो दिखता ही नहीं है। तो अब सर्विसेज के जमाना है, यहाँ मुश्किल है अभी तो लगता है, बट हाँ, शेयर बाजार में पैसे बनाने वाले तो हर वक्त ही बनाए।
So the thing is this, we don't have any experience and we are going into the stock market to try our luck. So academically we are not competitive.
We've got 2 types of things we got to do with companies, right? So we're the points at which we buy them and why we buy them, and the points at which we sell them and why we sell them.
Sure.
Buying is complicated. Selling is 10 times more complicated. Okay, so when we're trying to buy, relative to selling, it's relatively straightforward. We want to know what the growth engines are. If we're going after a growth company, we want to know what we're paying for that growth. And we want to try to figure out where is this company in 5 years or 10 years versus what we're paying for it. And so those are relatively straightforward compared to the selling question. The selling question is a more complicated question. Because one of the things we're forced to do is we're forced to look out into the future, maybe a few years out, to try to figure out what is the future of this business. And for most companies, even the insiders have a very fuzzy idea about the future. And so the thing is that if we buy a compounder at a value price, that's a relatively easy exercise because we're not paying up. But the difficulty comes in when it goes up in price and it looks fully priced, but still has a lot of tailwinds and still has great management, still has a lot of great growth in front of it. So the best that I've been able to answer the question is a great company with great growth, with great management, give them some leeway. So don't sell them when they're fully priced. Don't sell them when they're overpriced. Sell them when they're egregiously priced.
Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses. Within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love it, the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well. And the average person isn't going to run into that. I mean, if you look at how the fortunes were built in this country, they weren't built out of a portfolio of 50 companies. They were built by someone who identified with a wonderful business. Coca-Cola is a great example. A lot of fortunes have been built on that.